The Pineys Moment of the Year, presented by Jimmy's.
Welcome back to the North Carolina Sports Awards, the Pineys, here on the North Carolina Sports Network, presented in part by NC Port, the foundational partner of the North Carolina Sports Network. Now, our next category is Moment of the Year. These are the once-in-a-lifetime events, the unforgettable achievements, and the jaw-dropping scenes that defined this past year in bold North State sports. And DG, let's get right to our first nominee. Seth Jarvis made North Carolina proud on a global stage. What did it mean to see the Carolina Hurricanes' rising young star help lead his native Canada to a championship at the NHL's inaugural Four Nations All-Star Showcase?
Yeah, Mike, that moment was massive, and not just for Seth Jarvis, but for Canes fans and the entire hockey community here in North Carolina. That Four Nations event brought together the best of the best from Canada, the U.S., Sweden, and Finland. And Jarvis didn't just play, he starred. His poise, his skill, his personality, his scoring punch all helped push Canada over the top, kind of reinforced the fact that North Carolina is developing and supporting elite hockey talent at the international level. And that was a significant point of pride for the franchise and this state.
From hockey royalty now to a twin helping of hoops royalty, including two guys who have also been Olympians. But in 2024-25, a big moment had to have been for two Carolina basketball legends, Vinsanity, Vince Carter, and the late Sweet D, Walter Davis, inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. DG, what did that moment represent to you and to UNC fans across generations?
Yeah, this was one for the ages. Vince Carter redefined what it meant to be an above-the-rim superstar from Chapel Hill to NBA All-Star Weekend and beyond. And Walter Davis, Sweet D, as you mentioned, was, like his nephew Hubert Davis, one of the smoothest shooters ever to wear Carolina blue. And he helped shape Dean Smith's program into a national powerhouse. The posthumous honor for Walter, paired with Vince's emotional induction speech, I just thought was a beautiful nod to Carolina's incredible basketball legacy. Two more Carolina Hoops giants are now enshrined forever.
And now to something a little more aquatic, I guess you would say. The Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament always brings fireworks to Morehead City and into the Atlantic Ocean. And last year, the boat known as Game Time lived up to its name, David, landing a 516-pound Blue Marlin to clinch the championship. DG, tell us about that monster moment.
Yeah, Mike, there's just something about Big Rock Week in Eastern North Carolina. It's electric out there. Game Time made history with that fish you mentioned. The moment they brought that 516-pound Blue Marlin over the rail, the crowd went absolutely wild. You could feel the adrenaline if you were there. This wasn't just about sport fishing. It was about community, tradition, and putting Morehead City in the national spotlight one more time. Pure drama, pure Big Rock.
Now let's talk about the championship women of Chapel Hill. First, the UNC women's lacrosse team. Another undefeated season, another championship. What is the word for what Jenny Levy has built in Chapel Hill, David?
Dynasty. That's the word, Mike. Dynasty. 4 NCAA titles in the last 13 years, capped with a perfect season. Jenny Levy's program isn't just great, it is elite, as we discussed with her when she dropped by to claim that other award. They've built a culture of excellence, resilience, and skill that rivals any team in the country in any sport. The latest title just cemented their place as one of the top programs in that sport's history.
And what about the UNC women's soccer team winning its first national title in 12 years? A 1-0 victory over ACC rival Wake Forest. That took place right here in Cary.
Yeah, that was kind of a full circle moment. Anson Dorrance has been the godfather of women's college soccer for decades, and to see his team return to the top after a bit of a title drought by its standards, and to do it in the Tar Heels' home state against another ACC squad, as you mentioned, it was kind of poetic under a new coach, but there's yet another NCAA championship banner. That is number 22 in terms of title banners for the most decorated program in women's soccer history.
And then, of course, the headline that shook the college football world. Bill Belichick. Yes, Billy Goat. That Belichick taking over as the new head football coach at the University of North Carolina. DG, you have covered Carolina sports for decades. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you would ever see Bill Belichick come to Chapel Hill as the head coach?
Mike, if you had suggested that idea to me 1 year ago, I probably would have laughed you out of the studio. But here we are, a 6-time Super Bowl champion, defensive mastermind, and now the head man in Chapel Hill. Bill Belichick's hiring sent shockwaves through the entire sports world. It signaled that UNC is serious about football at the highest level, perhaps for the first time in the history of a program that's more than 100 years old. That was one of the most significant coaching hires in college football history, period. And it was one of the most unforgettable moments of this past year in state of North Carolina sports.
And now it is time to announce our moment of the year presented by Jimmy's. And this year's winner is one of the greatest athletes in North Carolina history, Julius Peppers, who was officially inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio last August. David, give us some perspective on what that moment meant, not just for Peppers, but for the entire state of North Carolina, and that building football respect that not only the Tar Heels, but all football programs here in the state are trying to accomplish with homegrown talent.
Yeah, Mike, I thought this was a truly landmark moment for a state that you like to call the bold North State, because Julius Peppers is as North Carolina centric as any elite athlete in any sport in the history of our state. And this is what I mean. That amazingly athletic, 6'7", 295-pound physical specimen and former high school running back, a man who's about to join us here on this year's edition of the Pineys, is a proud son of tiny Bailey, North Carolina, near Wilson. He was a 3-sport star just down the road at Southern Nash High School in Bailey. He fulfilled his childhood dream of playing 2 sports at UNC in Chapel Hill, football and basketball. And then he spent the majority of his 17-year NFL career also right here in North Carolina, this time in Charlotte with the Carolina Panthers. 2-time college All-American, 9-time Pro Bowler, almost 160 career sacks, 4th most in NFL history, and now he has a gold jacket. There are 2 to 3 dozen people associated with our state in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but there is only one that went from being born here to raised here to high school here to college here to professional football, all within North Carolina's boundaries. Julius Peppers did not just represent North Carolina last year on that Pro Football Hall of Fame stage in Canton, Ohio. He embodied our state. Tough, talented, driven, and respected across every level of the game. His gold jacket was not just a win for him. I saw it as a moment of pride for the entire bold North State. Our next honoree in this year's North Carolina Sports Awards is flat out one of the greatest athletes our state has ever produced in any sport. And he's also a very rare example of someone whose life journey has taken him all over our great state, truly from his birth all the way to the end of his professional career almost 40 years later, and through a lot of thrilling stops in between. Our viewers and listeners and readers here at the North Carolina Sports Network voted his induction last August into the Pro Football Hall of Fame over a lot of other great candidates in this category as our 2024-25 Sports Moment of the Year. His amazing athletic journey included 3 sports at least during his time at Southern Nash High School in Bailey, North Carolina, football and men's basketball at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and a huge chunk of his National Football League career with the Carolina Panthers here in Charlotte. And we are honored to have him joining us now. Julius Peppers, welcome to what we call the Piney Awards, and congratulations on winning our Sports Moment of the Year honor. How are you?
Oh, great, man. Thank you. Thank you for that intro. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be on with you guys.
Thank you very much. Given some of your other honors, we're glad that we could add this little planet in your universe, just one more in the trophy case. Part of your story, Julius, of course, and I just kind of implied it in the intro, you are the rare sports legend who was born in North Carolina, raised in North Carolina, high school sports in North Carolina, college sports in North Carolina, even played much of your pro career in North Carolina. What is the best way to describe the role that this great state has played in your personal and athletic success?
Well, North Carolina, it's been woven into my journey all the way through. And it's not really just where I'm from. It's more of about who I am. From my hometown of Bailey all the way to Charlotte. Every stage of my life and my sports career has been touched by the state. So I attribute a lot of my values and a lot of who I am to the state about, I learned work ethic, humility, loyalty. All of those things carry me through life, carry me through NFL, and it's carried me in post career NFL. So I'm grateful to be from there. I'm proud to be from there. I always tell everybody I'm from North Carolina, and I'm proud of it. I'm happy to be a part of the history of the state in sports.
Not everybody, Julius, loves to give speeches, whether it's like at a wedding reception, best man type speech, or in your case,
Yeah.
there you are, man. You got a lot of people with gold jackets around. You hope the words come out the way you thought. I wonder how you felt it went in general, but I did want to also ask, why was it important to you to squeeze in a reference to another of the greatest athletes in the history of our state, Michael Jordan, who's a little older than you, but obviously at some point he became a role model for you and eventually a friend?
It was a little nerve-wracking, I will admit. It's not my favorite thing to do, as most people know. But overall, I thought it went pretty well.
You
You
did.
know, I spent a lot of time in the mirror practicing. I had somebody help me, get the delivery right. So I thought it came out pretty well. I was proud of it. I was happy with it, and I was happy to get off that stage when it was over. But during the speech, I took a glimpse and I saw MJ and his wife and all his people sitting out in the crowd. So I couldn't let the opportunity pass. He's actually good friends with Dwight Freeney, who was my classmate.
Okay.
So he came up to see Dwight, but I couldn't let the opportunity pass to say something about him and shout him out while I was giving my speech because, even though it's pro football, I ended up playing pro football. He was a big inspiration to me personally and to my sports career, and, I know MJ is a global icon, but to us, growing up in North Carolina, it felt a little more personal. It felt personal to me, and he was the example of North Carolina kid. He made it, and we felt like this is something that we could become because we watched MJ and we watched him give us so many memories. So I had to shout him out. I had to say what's up. It was good to say what's up to him and get to catch up with him a little bit backstage. So that was cool for him to be there.
I want folks to know, since your speech and your induction was our sports moment of the year, that our website, ncsportsnetwork.com, still has your speech, which I thought was awesome and really well executed. And I speak for a living, so I hope you take that as a compliment. But also, of course, the Pro Football Hall of Fame still has, on YouTube or wherever else, copies of that speech if anybody wants to go back and revisit it. As a public speaker, Julius, I occasionally leave the stage and wish I had said one more thing or said something differently. Do you, as you speak almost a year later, like feel like you got it all in there, or is there any little tweak or addition that you could sort of add to the record almost a year later?
Given the time limit that we had, the 10 minutes, which seems like a lot of time to stand up and speak, uh, I thought I kind of, got everybody in there. If
Good.
I could go back and try to add some people, it would be more personal. So quick little tell. I was down in Bailey a couple months ago. So they had the high school Hall of Fame at Southern Nash, the first class. So even though I missed some of those people in the Hall of Fame speech, I got a chance to go back
Cool.
and thank them at my high school. So if anybody I can include, it would be some of the people from back home and some of the people that were there in my early part.
Quick hitters here. What are some of your favorite memories from your time growing up in the Bailey area, or even playing for Southern Nash High School, where I know you were great in football? I hope you tell your kids at some point, Dad was a running back for part of his time. So what jumps to mind of that earlier stage of your life?
It was just having fun with my friends, man, playing on the team with my friends. So we didn't have a lot of youth rec sports in that area at the time. So when I got to middle school, those were my first time really being on teams with other kids and stuff on real organized teams. So getting to go out and compete with them, uh, and playing offense, really, my whole career
Yeah.
professionally was on the defensive side of the ball. And I touched the ball a few times with interceptions and fumble recoveries and stuff like that. But I think, you know, being able to have the ball, rush the ball 20, 30 times a game, get a few receptions, I think that was one of the highlights of my career, being a skilled player on offense in high school.
One more reason to check out Julius's speech. He gave a cool shout out to one of his high school coaches, Brian Foster. That was just a beautiful tribute among the many that you gave. Fast forward to your time in Chapel Hill, of course. How often you get back there? What's your relationship like with the university, and what are some of those fond memories in both men's basketball and football?
Relationship is good. I've been up a couple times this year, actually, uh, just doing things around the school and stuff like that. I went up. Actually, me and LT, they brought me and LT out to halftime of the Duke game, so I was there
Yes.
for that. So yeah, it's cool, man. The greatest university in the world, in my opinion. And my fondest memory from there is living out my dream of playing basketball for UNC. That's at the top. But a lot of football memories as well. The Peach Bowl, going down to Atlanta and being Auburn, the Florida State game. Uh, a lot of memories, but most importantly, the teammates and the people, man. I always go back to the people, because that's what's important in relationships that you build, and the friendships that carry you long after you finish playing.
So many people have helped me get to this stage in my family and in my football life. And while I can't mention all of you, just please know that I'm grateful. First, I want to thank Coach Mack Brown and Coach Donnie Thompson for coming to Bailey, North Carolina, and making me realize that Chapel Hill is where I needed to be. And my thanks go to my head coach, Carl Torbush, who we lost last year, and my basketball coach, Billy Guthridge. They were great coaches and great men. And this ain't in my speech, but I'm gonna say it anyway. While I'm talking about Chapel Hill and North Carolina, and I know this is the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I ain't gonna sit up here and act like my idol and one of the reasons that I went to Chapel Hill is not in the building. The GOAT, His Airness, Michael Jordan. MJ, I want to thank you for the inspiration and the memories. Love you, big bro.
Speaking of people, you managed to squeeze into that Hall of Fame speech not only Mack Brown and Carl Torbush and Donnie Thompson and some others that were important to your time at Chapel Hill, but former Panthers owner, the late Jerry Richardson, also the current Panthers owner, David Tepper, and his wife.
So, in the words of the great Sam Mills, just keep pounding. And last but not least, I want to thank the Carolina Panthers founder, the late Jerry Richardson. If not for him and his vision, the Panthers don't exist. He brought an NFL team to my home state and gave me a platform to chase my dreams. So for that, I want to say thank you to the Big Cat.
Big Cat is the reason that, we all were there in Charlotte. So I thought it was, you can't talk about the Panthers without talking about Mr. Richardson. So, I thought that was just like, it went without saying to acknowledge him the way that he needed to be acknowledged. His son Mark came out to the enshrinement. He was there to support. So that the whole family, the Richardson family, they were life changing to me. So it's only right that you acknowledge them the right way. And also, Tepper and the new ownership, they are the ones that's bridging the gap, and that they're going to take us forward into the future. So I'm in full support of the Teppers and how they're handling the team. And I think it's important that we all get behind them, support them, and I think one day, soon here, I think we'll have a championship team in Charlotte.
Now I'm going to close with what being a Hall of Famer means to me. It's not about how many touchdowns you scored or how many Super Bowl rings you have, even though those things are nice. It really comes down to who you are at your core and what's in your heart. Are you resilient? Do you stand tall in the face of adversity when things get tough, or do you quit? Do you acknowledge other people's contributions to your success, or do you make it all about you? Being a Hall of Famer is one of my crowning achievements, but it extends far beyond pro football. It extends to my family, and it extends to my daily life. Everyone can't play in the NFL, and everyone can't have a bus here in Canton, but everyone can be a Hall of Famer in your own life. You can be a Hall of Fame dad, a Hall of Fame student, teacher, spouse, coworker, friend, whatever it is. Whatever it is that you do, do it with respect, integrity, passion, resilience, dedication, and gratitude. That alone will make you a Hall of Fame person, and you too can have a legacy that lives on forever. Thank you, and God bless.
It's hard for people to realize this because Julius is still a relatively young man in his 40s, but he was born into a state that didn't yet have the NFL. So that's really cool to shout out the Richardsons for that reason. All right, as we let you go, kind of two fun things I hope for you. One, on social media from time to time, we see beautiful pictures of you and Claudia and your family. You're having fun in Miami and South Florida. We see you travel in the world. I think everybody who knows you is just happy that you're enjoying this new chapter of life, but share whatever you're willing to share about just this post-football chapter. And then please tell us, Julius, that occasionally in your life you have tried a sport and not been good at it? Like, does that occasionally, like, I don't care if it's ping pong, surfing, billiards, cornhole, like, just, is there anything, golf, maybe, like, whatever?
So my golf swing is not really like that. It's not that good. I tried it. I go out, I will play, but I'm not the best at golf. Ping pong, I'm terrible. My swimming is okay. I'm not the greatest swimmer. So, it's a few things that I could use some practice in.
Hey, I think it's important for people to hear that because everybody looks at you as this incredible, long, lean, muscular, smart athlete and thinks, you were just born into greatness. It doesn't work that way, right? I mean,
No.
You had to work your tail off to be great at those things. So I'm glad you squeezed that in. And tell me about just the rest of the life as we thank you for your time and let you go.
So, I'm at this point, I'm basically a stay-at-home dad, and I feel like that's the most important job that any of us will ever have.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's important to be here, be present, and spend the time with my kids while they're still kids, because I know one day they're going to be going off to college and living their own lives. So this time is valuable and it's precious to me. So I'm trying to take advantage of it. But I'm here with the kids, basically on their schedule, and the family, and we travel. We just got back from Spain last week, actually.
Cool.
So we do a lot of traveling together, trying to make these memories while we can, man. So that's really what I spend a big chunk of my time doing now, just being dad.
Well, I'm so glad you were able to share that because, most of our honorees are people still coaching, still playing. You could have won any of our awards in the 90s or the early 2000s or, as recently as a decade ago. It's not as often you get these cool things in your post-playing days. So thank you for your time on the North Carolina Sports Network. We celebrate this state and people like you. So appreciate you squeezing us into this fun chapter of your life. Thank you for this time, and we'll be rooting for you the rest of the way, no matter where your journey takes you.
Yeah, man. Great job, guys. And thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate you.
You got it. Take care, Pep.
All right. Yeah, you too.
Players, we come and we go, but the constant is you. And as the saying goes, once a Panther, always a Panther. I can't reveal what's next, but my time here is up. No regrets, no looking back, and nothing left to give. It's not goodbye. It's kind of like I'll see you later. But until then, I'm grateful, I'm satisfied, and at peace with all that comes next. Thank you.
A quick reminder that the entirety of David's interview with Hall of Famer Julius Peppers can be found on our website, ncsportsnetwork.com, right here on this YouTube channel. We'll also be putting it out in little bits and pieces throughout all of our digital universe here on the North Carolina Sports Network. Now, coming up next, we'll put a cap on the 2025 Pineys, the North Carolina Sports Awards, as David and I put a cap on the past year that was in sports here in the bold North State. And we also look ahead to what promises to be a very interesting year indeed in the year ahead. That's coming up next right here on the North Carolina Sports Network.